Hello all, welcome to the session, the Hindu editorial analysis for proficiency in English. I would like to reiterate or emphasize the word proficiency in English. Usually my sessions, when I say editorial analysis, what I mean, they are not to provide the knowledge or the background information. These editorial analysis sessions are purely from language enrichment point of view. That is the reason why I say for proficiency in English. So when I do the analysis, it is not from the knowledge point of view, it is from the language point of view. That is the reason why I bring the phrases, the words, and idioms in different colors and I explain. So do remember, if you want knowledge related to this particular editorial from an intellectual point of view, or let us take an IAS aspirant, then this is not the right one. This may provide knowledge beyond any doubt when I do the analysis, but the focus is completely on the language proficiency. That's the reason why we say here you can see editorial analysis for proficiency in English. For proficiency in English, do remember, and even here you can see grammar, comprehension, vocabulary. So this is a framework. I never go out of the framework. I spend 20 minutes keeping all the three things in mind, and the purpose is never defeated. Now let us go to the editorial, and this editorial starts on a negative note. How does it start? Out of line. Out of line means not in sync, not in line with someone or something. That means deviating from something, established procedure in this context or the protocols in this context. Now, what is the main idea of this editorial? Governor Dankar's visit to violence-hit areas is a breach of constitutional propriety. There are two words over here you have to learn. And before giving the meanings of these words, what is this editorial about? This editorial, the background information or the backdrop, it goes with West Bengal. It goes with the controversial behavior related to the governor. It's all about that. And the editorial talks about whether it can be justified or cannot be justified. Obviously, it cannot be justified. Whatever the reasons may be, cannot be justified. As a governor of a particular state, one has to follow the protocols. One has to stick to the conformity of the morals or the standards that go with that particular post. Now, let us go to the two words from this main idea. One is the word breach. Breach has got two different meanings. One meaning, breach means a gap or a crack. Usually it goes with everyday English and written English as well. It goes with walls, dam, and usually wall, building, dam, and structure, a cement structure. And what is the second meaning of the word breach? In this context, breach means not sticking to the agreement or not following the contract. In this context, that is a meaning you have to consider. What is the next word? This is an important word. Propriety. Propriety means conforming to morals or standard behavior. Conform is different, conform is different. Conform means to follow, to stick to adhere to. Adhere to the morals or the standard behavior. Now, this editorial is an important editorial for two reasons. One reason, there are about 20 words you're going to learn. A lot of words are there to learn. Another reason, there are a lot of important words and a few words, the regular meaning you don't come across here. They are that way very confusing, and you have to be very careful when you focus on two or three words. The meanings are entirely different. You may think a particular meaning, but that is not the meaning based on the form as well as the context. What are the words? Breach, propriety, grave. It goes with everyday English as well as formal English, and it has got two different meanings. One meaning, graveyard. It goes with the dead bodies, and grave problem, grave situation, a serious situation in this context. Transgression, violating the law. Behest, at the person's orders. Someone gives you orders, then you act at a person's orders at the behest of. Restraint, a limiting factor. Gubernatorial, that means related to the post of the governor. Propensity, tendency to behave in a particular way. Incumbent, someone in power. Impediment, already have got, it means a block or a hurdle. Now let us go to the editorial. Out of line means not following the established procedure of the track, not in sync, not in line. And this editorial you come across a few idioms as well. Now what is the main idea of this editorial? Governor Dankar's visit to violence-hit areas is a breach of constitutional propriety. Hit Governor Dankar's visit to violence hit areas is a. It is a fact. It talks about a fact. So the sentence is in present tense. And there are two words I have just explained the meanings. Breach in this context, it means violating or not following a particular contract or a particular agreement. Propriety, not conforming to the morals or standard behavior. There is little doubt, this is very important, I will explain later. First, I'll read out the sentence. There is little doubt that West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar's visit to areas hit by post-poll violence in Cooch Behar constitutes a grave transgression of the bounds of constitutional propriety. Same idea is being reinforced, a lengthy sentence. And there's one important expression over here. There is little doubt. The word little is very important from the exam point of view. You may ask, so why is it important? How is it important? There are three expressions, little, a little, the little. I would like to spend a few minutes on the three. Little means almost nothing, hardly anything. It has a negative connotation. There's little doubt means there's no doubt as such. And this goes with quantity. When you talk about the number, you have to use the word few. Few, a few, the few. So little, nothing. A little, at least some. And the little, whatever is there or something that is specific. So this particular word and the three expressions, the three forms are very important from the exam point of view. In so many competitive exams, they are given questions related to little, a little. Rarely the little. Little, a little, if you're not alert, if you're not, if you don't read the sentence meticulously, you get carried away, then it will be a problem to spot the error. There's little doubt, there's no doubt that West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar's visit to areas hit by post-poll violence in Cooch Behar constitutes. The visit constitutes means what? It is in present tense. A grave transgression. Here grave has been used as an adjective. Means serious. Transgression, an important word. It means breaking the law. Transgression of the bounds of constitutional propriety. It means, this is again an important word, conforming to the morals or the standard behavior. As I said, this editorial talks about the governor of West Bengal, his behavior. Editorial says it doesn't go with the established procedure or the protocol or the standard behavior or the morals. And based on that particular idea, the editorial provides the background information. And about the governor, the present governor, a habitual critic of the Mamata Banerjee regime. He has been given to ignoring a principle that constitutional heads should not air their differences with the elected regimes in public. A lengthy sentence, but easy to understand. What does it talk about? It talks about whatever the differences they may have, the governor and the CM, based on the protocols, based on the established procedure, they're not supposed to express their differences in public. Whatever differences they have, the governor and the chief minister, they may have the differences, but they're not supposed to air. There's one idiomatic expression here. They should not air their differences, means they should not express their views or ideas in public. An important phrase. In public, in private. A habitual critic, another important phrase to describe a particular person. Some people, they criticize all the time. Then what do you say? He is a habitual critic. In this context, the governor, a habitual critic of the Mamata Banerjee regime rule, he has been given to ignoring the principle that he has ignored the principle. What is that principle? Constitutional head. He is the constitutional head. Should not air their differences with the elected regimes in public. As a constitutional head, he is not supposed to disclose anything in public. Whatever differences, whatever objections he has, he should discuss in private, not in public, with the chief minister. As recently as December 2020, an important phrase, as recently as November, as recently as Feb, any month you could use. As recently as December 2020, Ms. Banerjee had appealed to the president to recall the governor for political statements that she believed were being made by him at the behest of the BJP-led union government. It's understood. He is the BJP man. Obviously, whatever he says, it goes with the BJP, the stand of the BJP party. And based on that, this sentence, what does it talk about? As recently as December 2020, Ms. Banerjee had appealed. Appeal has got two different meanings. One meaning, appealing, means interesting, attractive. and something appeals, the music is appealing. You find it interesting, you find it attractive. Appeal also means, in this context, it means to request a lot, to urge. It's a formal word. Ms. Banerjee had appealed to the president to recall the governor. Recall means an official order asking someone to come back to a place. Recall the governor. Why? What is the reason behind? For political statements, he has been making political statements that she believed were being made by him. She believes, the CM believes, these statements are being made at the behest of the BJP-led union government. This is an important word. At the behest, that is a phrase, means what? At a person's orders, someone gives an order, someone places an order. Based on that particular order, you try to do something. Then you use a phrase at the behest of the BJP-led union government, at the behest of the party leader, at the behest of someone or something. Do remember that's an important phrase. One would have thought that a fresh election in which Ms. Banerjee's TMC has won a resounding victory would be a reminder, if one was needed at all, that the norms of representative government ought to be a natural restraint on Mr. Dankar's gubernatorial propensity to speak out of turn and step out of line. A very lengthy sentence, looks like a paragraph, but in a nutshell, what does it mean? Now, the Ms. Banerjee's TMC has come into power. It should be a reminder, if at all required, to the governor that it is a natural restraint because the Ms. Banerjee's TMC is in power. It should act as a reminder as well as a restraint on Mr. Dinakar's gubernatorial propensity. There's an important word here. It means governor. Gubernatorial means governor. Propensity, the following the morals or conformity to morals or standard behavior, to speak out of turn. So the very fact that the TMC has come into power should act as a restraint, and he should not speak out of turn, he should not step out of line. See the expressions. Speak out of turn. Focus on the verb. Speak out of turn means, imagine it is not your turn to speak, someone else's turn, then you try to speak. Then we say, speak out of turn. And out of line, not in line with something, not in sync with something. Whenever you come across a lengthy sentence, first you try to see what is there to learn from the language point of view. One would have thought, usually it goes with past conditional, not always. That's the reason why I said usually. Would be a reminder, will be a reminder, but here would be a reminder. About what? About the restraint. Now let us have a look at the words ought to be. Before I go to the vocabulary part, another important expression related to grammar, ought to be. Should and ought, they have the same function. They are used to advise someone or suggest someone, and should has got another function that is not that important. But Old English, ought to, formal, should, informal. Modern English, ought to, has become outdated. In Western countries, they still use in our country according to one particular source. And today, formal or informal, we use the word should. You should be punctual. You ought to be punctual. Both mean the same. Ought to be a natural restraint. Restraint means a limiting factor, something that stops you from doing something. It comes from restrain, refrain, synonyms. Keep away from something, not doing something. You don't do something. Refrain or restrain. And a noun form, a natural restraint. Gubernatorial, that's an important word, not easy to pronounce. It means governor, related to the governor. And propensity, this is the third time the writer has used. Conforming, not confirm, conform. Conforming to the morals or the standard behavior as the governor, related to the post. Out of turn, not when it is your turn you speak, out of turn. Out of line, not in sync, not on the track, of the track. There was a time, this expression goes with the past, there was a time when another West Bengal governor, Gopal Krishna Gandhi, came in for some criticism. Come in for some criticism. Remember the expression, very useful. He always comes in for some criticism. He came in for some criticism in the past. Why? Another example where the governor did not stick to the norms or the morals or the standard behavior. The editorial is trying to provide another example taken from the past. There was a time when another West Bengal governor, Gopal Krishna Gandhi, came in for some criticism. Why? for setting aside the restraints of constitutional office by expressing cold horror at the police firing that left 14 protesters dead at Nandigram in 2007. This talks about a past event happened in 2007. Obviously, the sentences should be in the past, no other tense, because specific time has been mentioned. And this talks about another governor stepping out of the expected norms or the track and visiting a particular place or saying something out of turn. A lengthy sentence but easy to understand. Another example based on what happened in 2007 at Nandigram. Some may believe, may helping verb talks about possibility, one function, another function. It is used to express a formal permission. May I come in, sir? It talks about a formal permission. But in this context, it talks about a possibility where the chances are more. Some may believe that the gubernatorial office ought not to be an impediment to the incumbent yielding to the moral urge to condemn incidents of rare enormity. This sentence is very difficult to understand. You got to read very carefully. Still, you may not understand. The sentence talks about the governor. It says, some may believe that, stand taken by some people, that the gubernatorial office, that means the governor, ought not to be an impediment. The post of the governor should not be an impediment, should not be a block, should not be a hurdle to the incumbent, the one in power, that means the present governor. Yielding, yield has got two different meanings. One meaning to, it's a produce, yield, it goes with crops. Another meaning to give in or to surrender. And also to say something, to produce something, to do something. Yielding to the, in this context, yield means to surrender, to give in. Yielding to the moral urge. So, moral urge means request or the strong feeling to do something. Moral urge to condemn incidents of rare enormity. What does it mean, the sentence? It means that as the governor, there is a limitation. But it says, some people believe it should not be a limitation when it comes to the moral urge to condemn incidents of rare enormity. Enormous means huge. That's why I said a few words, they don't go with the regular meanings. This is one of them. Generally, we all must be knowing the word enormous. Enormous means huge, but enormity means a severe crime. Severe crime. So when it comes to a severe crime, as a governor, there's a limitation on you. You're not supposed to say anything. But on the other hand, there is a moral urge to condemn that particular severe crime. So some people say he has a right to condemn because of the moral urge, though as a governor, he has a limitation. Yet, contrasting word, the editorial says, yet the larger principle that the governor should not offer public comment on situations best handled by the representative regime ought to hold good in all circumstances. There's one important phrase, in all circumstances. So what does this sentence mean? Yet, contrasting information. Yet, it means contrasting. Yet, the larger principle that the governor should not offer public comment on situations best handled by the representative regime. Whose role is that in this context? The representative regime has to say something, has to offer a public comment. It is not the role of the governor. So, whatever the situation, whatever the circumstance, in all circumstances, this particular stand, what is it? Governor should not offer a public comment. That holds good. It ought to hold good. It stands and it cannot be denied. Ought to hold good. Something holds good, a standard expression. It still holds good. Means what? It is still, you can consider, you have to consider. That's an important expression. In the case of Mr. Dhankar, what worsens his persistent criticism of the TMC regime is an unfortunate congruency between his words and the interests of the BJP. What worsens? Bad, worse, worst. If you take the adjective bad, what are the three forms? Bad, worse, worst. But here we have another verb, another word, that's a verb. Worsen. Worsen is a regular verb. Worsen, worsen, worsen. What worsens is persistent criticism. Persist, persistent, continuously existing of the TMC regime is unfortunate, unfortunate, opposite of fortunate, congruency. This is an important word. Congruency means something like harmony or agreement between his words and the interest of the BJP. In a way, he is representing the ruling party, the BJP, at the center. His visit to Cooch Behar can be seen as an action louder even than his words in derogation of the elected regime. There's an important phrase or expression, idiomatic expression, action louder even than his words. Usually we say actions are louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. Based on that, this has been written. His visit to Cooch Behar can be seen as an action louder even than his words in derogation of the elected regime. This is another important word. It has got two different meanings. A regular meaning, derogatory. Derogatory means insulting. We say he has made a derogatory statement, insulting statement. In this context, derogation, in a way looking down or insulting in derogation of the elected regime. More or less the same meaning, but this word has got another meaning. What is that meaning? Exemption from the law. Someone is exempted from the law, then we use the word derogation. A completely different meaning altogether. A visit to a scene of violence by the governor cannot be justified as a gesture to show solidarity with victims. Again, reiteration of the same idea, not in line, out of line. A visit to a scene of violence by the governor cannot be justified. On any ground, it cannot be justified as a gesture. Gesture means what? The movement of a body part. If I move my hands or shoulders or I give facial expressions, eyebrows and all, we use the word gestures to show solidarity with victims, unity, solidarity with victims. Now, editorial provides another example from the past. M. Chenna Reddy, as Tamil Nadu governor, shocked the AIADMK regime in 1993 by visiting the RSS headquarters in Chennai after a bomb exploded there. Another example. He was not supposed to visit, he visited. It may be argued, we may argue, it is active voice, it may be argued, passive voice, that the present situation in West Bengal is different from those in which other governors had shed the restraints of their office. It is not the same thing. Someone may come up with that argument, what happened in the past and what is happening in the present. And here it may be argued, important from grammar point of view, had shed, it is in past perfect, the restraints of their office. Usually the word shed, it's a noun and sometimes it is used as a verb. As a verb, usually it goes with snakes. Snakes shed their skins periodically. And here shed your inhibitions, shed the restraints. We use this way also. Means what? Drop or leave. Post-election violence is something that should not be witnessed at all in an electoral democracy. It is something like expressing one's idea, not advisable. West Bengal is certainly out of step, again off the track, with the rest of the country in allowing post-poll celebrations to degenerate into triumphalism and attacks on the losing side. What does it mean? This particular state, West Bengal, it is out of step, not in, it is like not on the track, it is off the track when it comes to, you compare with the rest of the country. In which particular aspect? In allowing post-poll celebrations to degenerate. Degenerate, another important word. What does it mean? Deteriorate, coming down, decline in standards or health or quality. The standards are degenerating. The standards are deteriorating. Typical expressions. Into triumphalism. Triumph is a positive word. Triumphalism is a negative word. What does it mean? Triumph means victory. Triumphalism, show of pleasure. When you get victory, when you get success, unpleasant show of pleasure. You go beyond the limit, you take it beyond the limit. Unpleasant show of pleasure. Triumphalism, negative connotation. Yet, another contrasting word, the onus. Onus means responsibility. The onus is on Ms. Banerjee to restore order and end the violence. It is a responsibility of the Chief Minister, Ms. Banerjee, even if she believed that the extent of the violence was being exaggerated by the opposition. She may think the extent, the magnitude of the violence being exaggerated. Exaggerate means make something look bigger or greater. Now, how does the editorial end? Regardless of one's view, an important phrase, regardless of one's view, irrespective of one's view of a regime's inaction, there should be no departure from the principle that any advice or warning the governor wants to give to the elected government ought to be, should be in private and in confidence. A reiteration of the same idea. On the track, it should be in private and in confidence. Off the track, out of line, in public. So how does it end? It ends on the same note, reiteration of the main idea. Whatever the governor has to say, wants to say, he should do it in private and in confidence, and he should not do it in public. That's all about today's editorial. A very useful editorial from proficiency point of view. I would like to reiterate that word. This session is always, every day, I bring one editorial. English proficiency point of view. Do remember that. And I never go out of the framework. What are the words? Breach, an important word. An act of breaking a law or gap. Propriety, conformity to morals. Careful with the spelling. Grave, serious. Transgression, act of breaking a law. Behest, a person's orders or command. Restraint, something that limits the freedom. And recollect the words refrain, restrain. Gubernatorial, relating to a governor. Propensity, a natural tendency. Incumbent, someone in power. Impediment, block or hurdle. You have got many a time. Enormity, an important word. You may think it means huge, enormous. Look at the meaning, a grave crime or sin. Congruency, another important word. Agreement or harmony. Derogation, general meaning deterioration, becoming weak or inferior or losing the vigor. But here another meaning, an exemption from a rule. Gesture, a movement of a part of the body. Degenerate, showing evidence of decline. Derogatory means insulting. I'm sorry. Derogatory means what? Insulting. One meaning. Another meaning, exemption from a rule. Degenerate, it means what? To deteriorate, showing evidence of decline. Triumphalism, triumph, victory, positive word. Triumphalism, a negative word. Unpleasant show of pleasure. Onus, responsibility. Exaggerate, represent something as being larger or bigger. Now let us go to question based on the comprehension. What is this editorial about? You should be able to write the governor, his role, all that. What is this? What is the tone of the editorial? The tone of the editorial is critical, criticizing and objectively, not subjectively. What constitutes a grave transgression of the bounds of constitutional propriety? Transgression, constitutional propriety. Keywords, you can locate the answer. What ought to hold good in all circumstances in the context of the editorial? Hold good in all circumstances, ought to hold good. Easy to answer. What cannot be justified as a gesture to show solidarity with victims? Justified gesture, solidarity, easy to make out. Now it is your turn to respond. Have a look at the word sentences, error location, and try to answer, try to spot the errors. Excuse me. Lengthy sentences, not that easy, but still you should be able to. I'll read the first sentence. The healthcare infrastructure is overwhelmed, but cries for help have not gone. Cries for help have not gone unheeded, with social religious organizations raising to the occasion. This is based on a standard expression. Where is the error? The healthcare infrastructure is overwhelmed. No problem. But cries for help have not gone unheeded. Heed means to listen to. Usually it goes with advice. With social religious organizations, no problem. Raising to the occasion, this is not correct. It is not raising, it should be rising. Rising to the occasion means live up to the expectations. Based on a particular situation, you are expected to behave in a particular way. Then we say rise to the occasion and not rise to the occasion. After a series of unfortunate incidents, where seriously ill COVID patients died before they could admit it. A social organization stepped in to create an oxygen facility while the patients wait near Gandhi Hospital. Again, a lengthy sentence. Read carefully, try to spot the error. After a series of unfortunate incidents where seriously ill COVID patients died before they could admit it, that is not correct. Before someone could admit them, active voice, before they could be admitted, passive voice. So here you should understand from the context, it goes into passive voice. Then one particular word is missing. Which one is that? The helping verb to be. You can do that. That can be done. They could admit the patients. The patients could be admitted. Could be admitted. Passive voice. Sentence number 3. The task force team also discussed about various alternative treatment options to drugs that are in high demand, like remdesivir, and decided to advise the medical fraternity to explore these options. When you come across a question like this, when you spot the error, you don't have to go beyond that. The task force team also discussed about, recently have brought this, certain verbs like discuss, order, stress, inform. They don't take any preposition after. So here discussed about is not correct. Discussed what? Various alternative treatment options. Then it is correct. In spite of the best efforts by the authorities, considerably less number of people with COVID symptoms are coming forward to get treatment being provided by the government due to fear of social stigma and ostracism. A lengthy sentence, but you should be able to spot the error. This is an important question. They have given in so many exams and it goes with common errors. Here, number. When we talk about number or the quantity, number especially, not the quantity, we have to use the word few. And we talk about the quantity, we have to use the word less. Here it is not about the quantity, it is about the number. And it is in the comparative form, it should be fewer number. In spite of the best efforts by the authorities, considerably fewer number of people with COVID symptoms are coming forward to get treatment provided by the government. Less number is not correct, it should be fewer. The last sentence based on the error location. The alleged crime has occurred during the 2013-15 period when Swapna was working in the human resources wing of Air India SATS. You don't have to go beyond this part. The alleged crime has occurred during the 2013 period. You can never use present perfect with time in the past. The alleged crime has occurred during the 2013-15 period. This goes into the past. Then you cannot use present perfect. It should be in past perfect. Present perfect plus time in the past, not the right combination. Do remember, they have given in many exams. Now, word swap. You see 4 words in red color and they are not properly placed. Perhaps 2 words should be changed. They should be swapped. Reviewing the academics of the first wave, the impact said the crisis was the most acute for marginalized and minority groups such as Dalits and informal workers. Reviewing the academics of the first wave. We don't talk about the academics of the first wave, so it is not correct. The impact is said. Impact cannot say. This is not correct. So we have to change these 2. Based on that, reviewing the impact of the first wave, the academics said the crisis was the most acute for marginalized and minority groups such as Dalits and informal workers. Acute means severe. So you have to change these 2 words. Swap these 2 words. Now please go to the next one. Acute American turtle, popular as pet, is threatening to vulnerable natural water bodies across the Northeast, which is home to 21 of the 29 invasive native Indian species of freshwater turtles and tortoises. Tortoise, not tortoise, tortoise. Here, Acute American turtle, nothing wrong with these two words. Threatening to invade, not vulnerable, threatening to invade natural water bodies across the Northeast, which is home to 21 of the 29 vulnerable native Indian species. So you have to change these two. Threatening to invade and here vulnerable native Indian species. Sentence number 3. Protesting farmers on the Singhu border said crowds were raging back to the protest site after the harvest season and they were going strong despite the coming pandemic. No, something is wrong. Protesting farmers on the Singhu border said crowds were coming back to protest, coming back to the protest site, coming back to where? The protest site after the harvest season. Nothing wrong with these two words. Were coming back to the protest site after the harvest season and they were going strong despite the raging pandemic. So you have to change these two. Coming back, raging pandemic. Sentence number 4. The day suffering seesaw battle with the patients witnessed in pain in the ambulances in the hot summer on the highways and the police bluntly refusing entry into TS. The day witnessed, the day saw, the day experienced, the day witnessed seesaw battle with the patients suffering in pain. We have to change these two. The day witnessed something. What? Seesaw battle with the patients suffering in pain in the ambulances. The last one looks like a paragraph. After 100 years, such a terrible pandemic is testing the world at every step. We have an invisible enemy in front of us, which is in multi-form. We are overcoming resources and obstacles in the fight against the second wave of coronavirus rapidly, and efforts are being made to work on war footing mode. Terrible pandemic, no problem. We are overcoming obstacles in resources in the fight against the second wave. We have to change these two words. We are overcoming what? The hurdles, the obstacles, the impediments in resources in the fighting against the second wave of coronavirus. Now, close test. You see a short paragraph, five blanks. You have to select the right words based on grammar knowledge, contextual awareness, and knowledge related to word combinations as well as lexical terms. Dead men do tell. Generally, we say there's a standard expression, tell tales. So, what is the right word? Dead men, usually we say dead men don't tell tales. They cannot tell. Dead men do tell. The writer is trying to emphasize. Dead men do tell tales. So, what is the answer here? And history bears witness that pandemics leave what? Imprint. Leave their imprint among those they leave behind. In India, a full would take place when the pandemic is fully behind us. A full reckoning, here you don't have to look for. Reckon means to think. Full reckoning would take place when the pandemic is fully behind us. But even from deep inside the storm, there are some first principles that have been driven home. Mitigated to them, not correct. Adherence to them. So, 5. Adherence, stick to. Adherence to them would have undoubtedly mitigated, reduced the ghastly fallout of the virus. Easy one. Now time to work on words from the editorial, the words and the meaning. Breach, it could be a noun, it could be a verb. What is the meaning? Here, violate a contract. It also means a gap. Violate an agreement. Answer should be F. Propriety, an important word. Part of speech, noun. What does it mean? Conformity. I could not give all the words. Conformity to morals or standard behavior. Answer is G. Careful with the spelling, it is not conformity. Sticking to, adhere to. follow. Grave could be an adjective and it has got two different meanings. One serious, another related to graveyard. It could be a noun as well. The graveyard adjective. What does it mean? Serious. Answer H. Transgression, part of speech noun, means what? Violation of a law or breaking a law. Act of breaking a law. Breaking what? A rule or law. Answer is I. Act of breaking a rule or law. Behest, at the behest of someone or something. Part of speech, order. Noun, it should be noun. And what does it mean? A person's orders. Answer is J. And restraint, verb restraint, noun. What does it mean? Limiting factor. Factor means obviously noun. E is the answer. What is the next one? Gubernatorial. Part of speech, noun. Related to governor. Related to governor. Do remember. Related to governor. Propensity. An important word. I think you have got for the first time. Propensity means what? Noun, tendency. Natural tendency to do something. So here, this is D and this is C. Incumbent, you have got many a time. Means what? Someone or a particular party in power. That means he is the incumbent. Means what? He is in power. So here, please give me a second. Part of speech noun, it means in power. What is the last one you are left with? Impediment. Impede, verb. Impediment, noun. It means hurdle. So behest, noun. Yes. So that's all about these words, important words. Not only these words, 10 words more. Try to learn all the 20 words, and a few words, the meanings are a bit confusing, and focus on those words. That's all for today. Have a nice day, and I hope from Monday I will be able to do live sessions. If not Monday, Tuesday, at any cost, you are going to have live sessions sharp at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. every day. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Thank you very much. And do remember, share to the channel and subscribe to the channel and share. Subscribe and share. Usually I don't tell students all these things, but I'm compelled to do that. That's it. Thank you once again.